Hi, I'm Anna, and welcome back to the D1 Audible Cheat Sheets. This episode is on Chapter 14, Maturation. Once fermentation is complete, and malolactic conversion too, if it's allowed to happen, the wine reaches a crossroad. At this point, the winemaker decides whether the wine's story is largely finished or whether it still has somewhere meaningful to go. Chapter 14 exists because maturation is where intent becomes irreversible. You can protect freshness or you can invite evolution, but you can't do both at once. For wines built around immediacy, young, fruity, aromatic styles, maturation is deliberately short and protective. Think of wines like New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc or Veneto Pinot Grigio. These wines are made to showcase primary aromas, and oxygen is the enemy. They're typically stored in oxygen impermeable vessels like stainless steel, kept cool, protected with sulfur dioxide or inert gas, and bottled quickly. Some producers even delay bottling until orders are placed, storing wine in bulk so they retain flexibility, different labels, different markets, even blending options, without exposing the wine to premature aging. It's efficient, cost effective, and aligned with the style. But for many wines, maturation isn't just optional, it's essential. This is where structure settles, textures soften, aromas evolve, and complexity emerges. The three major influences during maturation are oxygen, wood, and lees. Not every wine uses all three, but understanding how each works alone and in combination is central to D1. Let's start with oxygen. Oxygen is both a sculptor and a saboteur. During maturation, oxidation reactions slowly reshape a wine's aromatic and structural profile. Primary fruit aromas gradually diminish, making room for tertiary characteristics. Dried fruits, nuts, honey, leather, mushroom. When the wine has sufficient structure, acidity, tannin, flavor concentration, this evolution can enhance quality and aging potential. When it doesn't, oxidation simply strips the wine of fruit and leaves it hollow. Oxygen also reshapes color. White wines darken progressively, moving from pale to gold to brown. In red wines, controlled oxygen exposure early in life can actually stabilize color. Anthocyanins bind with tannins, protecting color pigments from being bleached by SO2 or lost to lees. This is particularly important for pale reds like Pinot Noir. Over very long periods, though, all red wines eventually fade and brown. Tannins also change in the presence of oxygen. While the science is still evolving, oxidation appears to soften tannins, making wines feel more supple and harmonious. One of the reasons red wines are often matured longer than whites. Reds commonly spend 12 to 24 months in maturation before bottling, while whites more often spend 6 to 12. Not all oxygen exposure is equal. Sudden, uncontrolled exposure leads to rapid oxidation. Slow, measured exposure allows development. That's why wooden vessels have been used for centuries. Barrels allow oxygen in gently and continuously. Some oxygen enters through the wood, some through the bung, but the greatest exposure happens during human intervention, racking, topping up, stirring lees. Barrels also concentrate wine over time. Water and alcohol evaporate through the staves, especially in small vessels, increasing the concentration of other components. Smaller barrels lose wine faster, need more topping up, and therefore expose wine to more oxygen than large vats. Because barrels are expensive, labor intensive, and slow to deliver financial return, micro oxygenation was developed as an alternative. This involves bubbling controlled amounts of oxygen through wine in tank, measured in milligrams per liter per month. Initially associated with inexpensive wines, it's now used at all quality levels. It can stabilize color, soften tannins, reduce herbaceous notes, and integrate oak alternatives. But it must be handled carefully. Oxygen also favors spoilage organisms like acetic acid bacteria and Brettanomyces. Long term aging behavior of microoxygenated wines is still not fully understood. Temperature and humidity quietly govern everything during maturation. Cool, stable conditions slow oxidation and microbial activity. Whites are usually matured cooler than reds. Warm conditions don't just speed up aging, they change which reactions happen, and many of those are undesirable. Low humidity increases evaporation, concentrates alcohol, increases topping up frequency, and raises oxidation risk. That's why traditional underground cellars worked, and why modern cellars are climate controlled. Now, let's talk about wood, not as romance but as chemistry and economics. Wood does two things: it allows oxygen in and it gives compounds to the wine. New oak contains tannins and aromatic compounds that can dramatically shape structure and flavor. With each use, extraction decreases. By the fourth fill, a barrel contributes very little flavor but still allows oxygen ingress. That's why many producers blend wines aged in new and used barrels to control impact. Size matters. Small barrels, like barriques, have a high surface area to volume ratio, meaning more extraction, and more oxygen exposure. Large vessels like foeders are gentler and slower. Most wine barrels are made from oak because it's watertight and flavor positive. European oak and American oak are different species. Both give vanilla, but American oak contains more lactones, giving coconut tones and often greater aromatic intensity. European oak generally contributes more tannin and subtler aromatics. Grain tightness matters too. Tightly grained oak from slow growing trees extracts more slowly and gently. That's why regions like the Finger Lakes favor Hungarian oak for balanced, medium bodied reds. Barrel production matters as much as the wood itself. Staves are seasoned outdoors for years to reduce bitterness and develop aroma precursors. Toasting transforms tannins and aromas. Light toast emphasizes structure, heavier toast brings spice, caramel, smoke, and char. Cooperages have house styles, and many wineries deliberately mix coopers to increase blending options. Barrel aging is expensive. Barrels cost money, take space, require constant monitoring, meticulous hygiene, and long storage before release. Return on investment is slow. That's why oak maturation is usually reserved for mid priced premium and super premium wines. For wines where oak flavor is desired without barrel cost, oak alternatives are used. Chips and staves are cheap, fast, and precise. When combined with microoxygenation, they can approximate some effects of barrel aging. Whether they replicate barrel maturation fully is debated, but for many styles and price points, they're commercially effective. Lees are the third major influence during maturation. Lees are the sediment left after fermentation. Gross lees settle quickly and are usually removed early. Fine lees settle slowly and are often retained. Over time, yeast cells break down through autolysis, releasing compounds that add body, texture, and flavor. Lees can soften tannins, bind with wood compounds to reduce astringency, and protect wine from oxidation, reducing the need for SO2. In white wines, especially, lees aging can bring notes of dough, biscuit, yogurt, and toasted bread. But lees are not benign. Thick lees can generate reductive sulfur compounds. In small amounts, these can add complexity. In excess, they become false. Lees also feed microbes, helpful for malolactic conversion, dangerous for Brettanomyces. Lees aging requires monitoring, stirring, labor, and time, all of which increase cost. That's why inexpensive wines are bottled quickly, while high quality wines may spend months on lees before release. Racking manages lees and oxygen together. Transferring wine off sediment can clarify and freshen it, but it can also introduce oxygen. Some producers deliberately splash wine to increase oxidation, others rack reductively using inert gas. Again, the intent determines method. Finally, blending. Blending is one of the most powerful tools a winemaker has. It's rarely about mixing for the sake of it. It's about balance, consistency, style, complexity, fault management, volume, and price. Wines can be blended across varieties, parcels, treatments, vessels, and even vintages, subject to local law. Blending can fine tune acidity, soften tannins, add body, enhance complexity, or stabilize quality across large volumes. It can also reduce the sensory impact of minor faults or help meet commercial volume and price points. But blending requires foresight. Winemakers often blend young wines that will age for years, predicting how components will evolve together. It's both technical and intuitive, and always done before stabilization to avoid later instability. So, chapter 14 on maturation exists in D1 because maturation is where time, money, and philosophy intersect. It explains why two wines made from the same grapes can emerge worlds apart. And if you can explain how oxygen, wood, and lees and blending shape structure, aroma, aging potential, and price, you're no longer describing wine, you're analyzing it. I do hope this helps with your prep, and I'll see you at the next episode.